On today's TDSP, Charlie Blackmon is retiring. Me and Christian Saez are going to talk about what Charlie Blackmon meant to the Rockies and who might be the equivalent in terms of Nuggets players, Broncos players, Avs players to the career Blackmon had in Denver. That's coming up on the Denver Sports Podcast. Welcome into another episode of the Denver Sports Podcast. We are live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. I'm Harrison Wind, and again, I got my guy, DNVR Rockies beat writer Christian Saez with me.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, man?
I'm feeling good. You know, the Rockies gave us something to talk about in September that's not a win and loss type of conversation. I give credit to the Rockies PR team because we're talking about Charlie Blackmon's retirement, and he had told me yesterday that he knew he was going to retire going back to spring training. And he didn't really tell anyone until just a few weeks ago. I think he had told Bud Black and probably the front office like 3 weeks ago. But credit to the Rockies PR team for saying, you know what, we could announce this right now, but we're going to hold off on this because there's going to be nothing else to talk about on the last week of the year, and no one's going to come out to the games anyways. So let's give people a reason to come out to Coors Field on the last week of the year. Last night, you know, a random day game, it was a night game, but it was, a random day of the week.
Yeah.
And we had 25,000 people at Coors Field, which for a team that's not playing in the postseason, that's pretty good. People were pretty pumped to see Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah, coming out to see Charlie Blackmon and boo Nolan Arenado.
Absolutely.
That's why you come to the ballpark. Yeah.
Although there was a little bit of kind of positive feelings towards Nolan Arenado for a moment.
Yeah.
Grievances were put aside just momentarily because Nolan actually showed up in the press conference for Charlie Blackmon's retirement and was there to support his former teammate. Had some good things to say about Charlie. There was some positive side of the whole Nolan Arenado thing, but you're right. From a fan standpoint at the game, some scattered news.
So you just said Blackmon, or you knew from what he told you that he was going to retire, or he knew he was going to retire before the season.
Yeah.
So sometimes in sports, guys want the full year retirement tour. Like you see this in the NBA, honestly. Like Paul Pierce, when he retired from the Boston Celtics, he made it known, I'm retiring. I'm going to go to every city and, really soak it in, AKA, I just want all the attention on me.
Yeah.
Guys do that in baseball all the time. Coach K, that type of thing.
that was a big one, yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Charlie Blackmon, and knowing the type of guy he is, I'm not surprised he went this route. But he probably didn't want that whole retirement tour.
No,
himself.
Not at all. And I made the comparison on the DNVR Rockies pod just a few minutes ago. I noticed a lot of similarities between Charlie Blackmon and Todd Helton in the sense that both of them are pretty serious guys, very focused in a dedicated way to their craft, and guys that don't like a lot of attention. I think Charlie's a little more laid back, obviously, than Todd Helton was. Todd Helton was a little more awkward, to put it lightly. Charlie is much more casual and relaxed and can talk to the media, that kind of stuff. But I do feel like there was a lot of similarities between the two, and I think both of them come from a standpoint of, I just want to go put the best product out on the field no matter what, and that's all that matters. And Bud Black said this to me yesterday before the game in the dugout. He was like, Charlie Blackmon does not owe this team anything over this next week. He could go 0 for 17. No one would blink an eye. He's still incredible. He's not trying to prove himself. No one cares about what Charlie Blackmon does on the field from this point until the end of the season.
Yeah.
But Bud was like, Charlie's still going about this pregame routine as if he's going to be playing for 5 more years.
Right.
That's just the type of guy that he is. So he doesn't care about the pomp and circumstance. The Rockies care about that. He's just there to play games.
And did he have a pretty good game last night?
He did. He had a triple and a double and got hit by a pitch.
I feel like he's going to have like a monster game in his last game of the season.
And then he's going to consider like, maybe I shouldn't retire.
No, he'll get the question and he'll be like, "Nah, man, I've already had 3 beers. I'm done. I'm done."
He already said he's going to the Kentucky Derby. He has plans now.
Oh,
next
he's a horse
summer.
guy.
He's apparently he's a horse guy.
Okay.
Another Denver horse guy.
Okay.
He said he's only been watching the Kentucky Derby, because it's in the summer, so he's never been able to actually participate. And he said that was the first thing. It wasn't fishing. It wasn't like we're gonna go, I don't know, like on vacations. It was like, yeah, we're gonna go to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
that was
the Derby's on my bucket list too.
It is.
Maybe when I retire,
but
like Charlie Blackmon.
I never realized, and I mean, I guess I always knew this, but I until you're up close to these guys and you're seeing the grind of a baseball season, you forget how dedicated you have to be a professional baseball player from a scheduling standpoint.
Yeah.
For 20 years, Charlie Blackmon has never had a summer.
Well, especially baseball, it's the longest season, right?
And you're playing even on your days off. You're traveling on your days off. You do not get like he said, one of the quotes that I put in my article that I wrote yesterday. He said, you're on the bus or you see guys, you're on the bus and you look around and you see people like going on vacations and taking a long weekend and going camping. You don't get to do that. You have not had a summer since you were in high school.
Yeah.
And that's insane to think about.
Baseball is also a sport, like I said, longest season out of the professional sports. And the days might be the longest in terms of just hours on game days that they put in. Because, I mean, what time do they get to the ballpark on a game day?
So if there's a 6:40 game, they're already in the clubhouse by 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock maybe. And they're probably there earlier than that to do, like, pregame warm-ups.
If you're like a young player, you're going to get there
in the
earlier
weight room.
too.
Yeah,
and
totally.
then you're there on a 6:40 game until
midnight.
Yeah. So that's pretty much like an entire day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's longer than NBA players put in for sure. I mean, NBA players for like a 7 o'clock game, you're there in the morning for a couple hours and then probably 5 until 9:30 or something.
Yeah.
So they're putting in ridiculous hours. You're playing outside as well, which is nice, but it also takes a bigger toll on the body probably.
Yeah, it gets tough in the middle of July when it's 100 degrees.
Absolutely. And so, like, baseball players, I like to knock them a little bit sometimes because, like,
fair.
Who gets hurt running to first base? Like some guys do.
Yeah, Kyle Freeland's getting taken out of a game for a blister. Yeah,
right.
I get it.
Okay. But the grind is absolutely real.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. And Charlie Condon, I was talking to him the other day. He's the Rockies' top-rated prospect. And he was at Coors Field the other day after the Spokane Indians won their
he's
NWL
up here
championship.
for his like field trip.
Yeah,
end of the year field trip.
Literally. And I think it was actually the last time I was on TDSP.
Yeah.
And I asked him, what's been the biggest transition from college ball, because he's played ball at Georgia, to playing even just minor league ball. And without hesitation, he goes, schedule. No questions, like schedule.
Yeah.
Like when you go from playing college ball, which is still a grind, to professional baseball, where every single day, like you said, from morning to night for 162 games, you are playing nonstop and having to be on nonstop. It's incredible, and people don't realize that. So like Charlie Blackmon, like a dude who loves fishing, when was the last time he got to go fishing in the summer? He probably hasn't. Like, you don't have even time to do that on your days off. And when you do have a day off, you're probably with your family for like 5 seconds. You know, like you're probably not going out and going on like a hike or anything like that. Like you also have to be really careful. And I know this is the same for like NBA, NFL. Like you sign contracts on like the things that you can do. Like you can't go snowmobiling and you can't do those types of things.
Yeah.
So
I don't think NBA players are allowed to ski or snowboard.
Yep, correct. Baseball
or
too.
Snowmobile.
I have a buddy who played in the Seattle Mariners organization for years, and I remember him telling me like, yeah, I just had to sign away. He loved skiing and snowboarding. He's like, I had to sign away my rights to go skiing and snowboarding. Like I can't do that until I retire. You know, so that kind of stuff is just crazy. Like, yes, these are pro athletes. Yes, these guys are making millions of dollars. You know, at least at the top level. You have a dream life to some regard, but at the same time, you're sacrificing so much to get to that point. So it was really cool to see Charlie Blackmon get to kind of have a full circle moment. He had his kids on his lap yesterday, and just getting to kind of soak in this last week, and then get to also say, yeah, next year, Kentucky Derby, we're going.
It's the only thing on his schedule.
That's the only thing on the list, man.
That's
all that matters.
You wrote an article on thednvr.com, End of an Era, Charlie Blackmon was one of a kind. You obviously spoke to him yesterday. Nolan Arenado was there. A lot of his other teammates were there. It was a great article. Go give it a read. I feel like the theme of it was he gave his all every time he went out there. He was like a no excuse type of guy. And that is going to leave a lasting legacy on the Rockies. Is that how you would sum up like what Charlie Blackmon's legacy is going to be?
Yeah.
And obviously the beard and the walk-up song, but we'll get to that.
And I do think those are big pieces of it, because you've got a guy who, yes, has been a phenomenal, consistent player in his time on the field, but I think he was like Todd Helton and Larry Walker were great players, but they didn't have the intangibles that Charlie Blackmon had. And so I encapsulate him as the type of player who is a great player, but also is a great player from a fan perspective. He was engaging with the fans. He was fun to watch. He was fun to talk to. I was watching MLB Network in the clubhouse before some of the guys came in, and they were showing rundowns of like their favorite Charlie Blackmon commercials. And you remember with Nolan Arenado, the picture of the Step Brothers picture of him and, Nolan Arenado like doing their little, whole, get up like together.
Oh, yeah.
Like those kind of things. We didn't get that from Todd Helton really when he was a Rocky. And so I think that made him and makes him the player that he is for the Rockies, and why he's so beloved by this fan base. And on top of that, he's the third best player to ever come out of the Rockies franchise, and I will argue that till the day I die.
Let's talk about it. Todd Helton, Larry Walker, obviously the top two.
Yeah.
Who's in the conversation? I mean, you think Blackmon's 3, but who else is in that conversation for 3 in your opinion?
Matt Holliday's up there in that conversation.
Okay.
But where he falls short is he just doesn't have the tenure that Charlie Blackmon had.
Charlie Blackmon started with the Rockies in 2011.
Yep.
I think this is his 14th year.
14th season in the bigs, yeah. He was drafted in 2008, second rounder. Matt Holliday just didn't have the amount of time, and also the consistency with one franchise.
Yeah, if Holliday would have stayed with the Rockies for his whole career, he could be in that.
Nolan Arenado,
argument for sure.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Great player. Didn't stick with the Rockies for that long.
Agreed.
So, you could argue Tulowitzki, DJ LeMahieu, Cargo. These are all guys that are great names in the Rockies franchise.
Yeah.
But Charlie Blackmon, his longevity with the team, his commitment to just this team, and if you look at it from a numbers standpoint, Todd Helton said this to me during Hall of Fame Day at Coors Field. If you look at his numbers, how do you not give him that number 3 ranked best Rocky of all time conversation? Because if you go down the list of his numbers, he's second in pretty much every offensive category. Second in runs scored, second in average, second in home runs, second in RBI, second in doubles. You can go down the list, and I have it on the article, so I'm kind of just rattling these off by memory. But your number 1 is either Todd Helton or Larry Walker for most of those categories, and Charlie Blackmon's second for everything else.
Wow.
That, to me, makes him a third best Rocky in franchise history.
Yeah. And the fact that he stuck it out in Denver for his whole career, that matters a lot to me. And I got to think that matters to a lot of people in Denver and Colorado, because he could have gone the Arenado route and said, I don't want to play here anymore. Trade me. And honestly, I wouldn't have faulted him for that, just like I don't really fault Nolan Arenado for wanting to play for a more competent organization. But it's got to be tough to stick it out and like go out there and play every day like Charlie Blackmon did for a team that sucks.
Yeah.
The Rockies have had some good years with Charlie Blackmon, no doubt, but the majority of his career has been on a bad team. And the fact that he stuck it out and still just put on his shoes, put on his uniform, and went out there every day and like played his heart out for the Colorado Rockies, that's going to mean a lot, I feel like, in his lasting legacy.
Yeah, someone asked him that yesterday, and and they said, Charlie, you've been through like 3 or 4 different rebuilds, it feels like, within this Rockies team.
Yeah.
Why did you stay? And I want to follow up to that here in a second on like kind of a dig question that was aimed more towards Nolan during the press conference. That was interesting.
Course.
But before that, yeah. So he asked, why did you stick it out? And Charlie just said, look, I every single day I tried to control what I could control. It was very measured responses and saying like I wanted to be consistent, be the best player that I could be. I couldn't control everything that was around me, but if I could be the best player that I could be every single day, it didn't matter if I was playing in Colorado or somewhere else. Like that's who he wanted to be. And then on top of that, he was like, okay, well, the Rockies fans also wanted me. The organization wanted me. I wanted to be here. You see that also in like Ryan McMahon. Like Ryan McMahon actively saying, I don't want to get traded this year. Please keep me on this team. Like, this is a team that, although hasn't had the wins and losses, we see guys who have been, I don't know, raised up in this era of baseball around Charlie Blackmon where they're saying, I don't really care. I want to win, but I don't really care if like we're in a rebuilding phase. I just want to be in Colorado. So that's pretty cool to see some of those big guys, getting to stay like that. But I want to circle back to what I was saying because Nolan Arenado did make an appearance in the press room along with a bunch of other Rockies players. And he was the only guy, wearing the red hat, obviously. So he stood out like a sore thumb.
That was a surprise, right?
It was.
Because I bet you had a feeling some other players were going to be in there, but probably not Nolan.
No, I didn't expect that at all. We all figured Nolan we all figured we'd get some sound bites out of Nolan before the game, but never like that he would go out of his way to come to the Rockies side of the stadium and go into the press room and actually talk to us or listen to us, I should say, listen to us with Charlie. And there was a question, I don't remember who asked it, but there was a question where someone kind of, it was almost like a subtweet where someone basically said, hey, Charlie, talk about like, how valuable it is to stay in one franchise when so many other guys have just jumped ship and haven't had success where they've landed. And it was the most glaring, like...
Was this guy staring Nolan down while he said that?
Like, it was 100% aimed at Nolan Arenado, even though his eyes were looking at Charlie Blackmon. And Charlie even got a little kind of nervous in his answer, kind of like trying to pivot and shift away from like the attention to Nolan and just saying, like this was my decision from a positive standpoint. I love the Rockies, blah, 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 whatever. But there was a little bit of, a little contention there between the room with Nolan Arenado present in the building.
The people hate Nolan Arenado so much here.
He has not gone to a postseason since he
left.
And
I'm not going to tell you which way you should feel. If you hate him, you should hate him.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
There were boos at Coors Field. I will say that.
All right, let's hit a break real quick. On the other side, we're going to talk a little more about Blackmon and who's the Nuggets, Broncos, Avs equivalent to Charlie Blackmon. I don't know. We can throw some names out there and see.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, if you have any flooring needs, check out Empire Today. Empire Today, they actually did the floors in Studio A right here. They still look new. They still look pristine, despite the fact that we move a lot of stuff around here. So if you have any flooring needs, home or business, give Empire Today a call. $350 off. That's what you can get when you use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply, but see empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today. They also have a virtual floor designer on their website. You can see how your floors will look in your home, in your office, wherever you're putting them before you actually put them in. So a really useful tool there. And nobody beats Empire Today on quality, service, and speed. They are extremely fast, and that's important. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can get $350 off when you use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. Also, make sure to check out Bet365. That's what we bet with here at DNVR. It's never ordinary at Bet365. You can sign up with the code DNVR365. You can hit that QR code right there on the screen. Choose between two different offers, a bet and get offer. Place a bet of $5 or more, get $200 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer. Place a bet up to $1,000. If your qualifying bet loses, you get a match refund and bonus bets. So 2 offers to choose from with Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. I saw in the comments somebody was asking how much Rockies tickets are these days. I was actually looking because I was trying to go this weekend.
Nice.
Father-in-law's in town. He's a Dodgers fan, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
Trying to go to the game. The ticket prices are insane this weekend for Ohtani.
Like you mean high insane or low?
Yeah, high.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
How much?
I mean, I was looking
looked,
at like club seats, and they were like $100.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. First of all, it's the send-off to Charlie Blackmon. Again, it's why the Rockies waited till Monday, the start of their last home series of the season, to announce that Charlie Blackmon was retiring. 2, you're about to see the Babe Ruth, from a famous standpoint, of baseball playing at Coors Field. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player and the most famous baseball player to have ever graced Major League Baseball since Babe Ruth. And you get to see him at Coors Field. Mm-hmm. And it's the last home state of the year. It's also supposed to be like the best possible weather of the year. It's supposed to be like 75.
Right. The transition between summer and fall. Best weather in Colorado.
Like yesterday, it was unbelievable how nice the weather was. We're not supposed to get a drop of rain for like a week. So, it's a good time to be out at Coors Field. I actually expect it to be rocking.
It's going to be packed, especially it's the Dodgers. I mean, they're
Dodgers,
Dodger
Charlie
fans,
Blackmon.
of course.
Dodgers are going to the playoffs here soon. Like
Ohtani having the best season ever
in the history of baseball. Yep,
insane.
Absolutely.
Should be exciting. Talking about Charlie Blackmon here on TDSP, we're live in the Toyota Lounge. Thanks to everybody hanging out in the Toyota chat. Throw out your Nuggets, Broncos, Avs, Charlie Blackmon equivalents.
Yeah.
Because that's what we should talk about now. Where should we start?
Do
you have any on your mind?
I don't actually, not off the top of my head. But we could start with the Avs because we were kind of talking about it a little bit before the show started. And I think the important thing to recognize when we're talking about who is the equivalent of Charlie Blackmon is you're not looking for the number one, the best. You're not looking for the GOAT, the Nikola Jokic type of players. Because Charlie Blackmon, in all reality, is not going to go down as the number one best Rocky to have ever retired or ever played in a Rockies uniform. But I would say, like I said, he's top 3, probably the 3rd best. And you have to also put in the intangibles of like he is probably his personality is there.
Yep.
We were saying like maybe our thoughts would be like a Gabe Landeskog because of the personality that Gabe had and just the longevity that he's had. The captain, I would argue that Charlie Blackmon is 100% the captain of this Rockies team. If they put that on his jersey, that would make sense. So personally, I would have gone with Gabe Landeskog. But Tiff, did you say that the Avs beat weighed in on this?
Yeah, they did. Milan Hajduk is a name they threw out, I think.
Okay.
Older Av, but I mean he was a key guy on the Stanley Cup teams years ago.
Yeah,
and he was one of their better players. But not Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg level.
Sure. Yeah.
So that might kind of be a nice Blackmon equivalent, kind of fitting under the Todd Helton, Larry Walker level.
Fair. And I was going to say that's a positive argument in favor because I don't know if Landeskog's an incredible player, but is he at that like 3rd best player in franchise history for the Avs spot? Maybe not. So that's a good secondary. And obviously we trust the Avs beat. They know the Avs better than
we do trust
than we do.
Somebody in the comments on the Avs Twitter mentioned EJ, but I think that's kind of the similar thing. EJ's great, like Hall of really good guy, but maybe not quite like the talent level to Blackmon. Vibes-wise, maybe.
From a Broncos perspective, what about Rod Smith? You got some guys in the comments shouting out Rod Smith.
I could see that completely. Again, like this isn't going to be someone that's the number one choice, best leading the franchise. But Rod Smith was just a constant there, and with the Broncos.
Yeah, consummate professional.
Yeah,
pro. Just went out there every game and played his ass off.
Yeah,
and was really freaking good and reliable and consistent. That's another thing with Blackmon, too.
So Jack Corrigan, the broadcaster for the play-by-play guy for the Rockies on the radio side of things, he kind of shaped a question to Charlie in the lines of saying, like, what do you want your legacy to look like? And Blackmon's answer was consistent. And so I think he earned that. Like Charlie Blackmon was consistent through injuries, through ups and downs. Even when the Rockies sucked, even when the Rockies were good, Blackmon was always there. And I said it in the article, no matter what you felt about the Rockies or feel about the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon, if you showed up to Coors Field, even if the Rockies sucked, he gave you a reason to watch Colorado, and he made it enjoyable to watch the Rockies when he was playing. I think Rod Smith was the same way. He made it enjoyable to watch the Broncos. He was consistent. He was a fun player. He worked his ass off. Like, that is the type of player that I think you could compare to Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah. I was trying to think of somebody from the Nuggets, and I couldn't really come up with that many great options. Somebody I thought of was Chauncey Billups.
Okay.
I was going to say that's what Kale had mentioned.
Is that
Chauncey's
what Kale had mentioned? Chauncey, if he had played with the Nuggets for longer, I think it would be a better argument. But he has the Colorado connection. He feels like a Colorado guy.
Yeah.
And he was also never the best player on any Nuggets teams, although I will go to my grave saying he was the best player on that Western Conference Finals team. He played better than Melo in the playoffs.
I actually agree with you on that.
Anyways, he does have that longevity, that consistency, the leadership. So it could be Billups.
And the personality,
Yeah. So it could be Billups.
I was hearing, some people say, like, Murray. My issue with Murray is just that, like, I feel like the consistency hasn't always been there for him. And that's injuries aside. There's just been that kind of up and down career that Murray's had that I don't know if he's eclipsed the level that Charlie Blackmon has eclipsed within that franchise. And maybe by the time Jamal Murray retires, especially if he retires a Nugget, like, maybe he's there. But I just don't know if any of the guys on the current team right now would fit that. I think Chauncey Billups is a good one.
Consistency, yes, for Murray, but he definitely had a way higher peak than Blackmon ever did.
For sure.
In terms of, like, what he's done in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, yes. He did have better pieces, I think, around him. I would say the 2017 Charlie Blackmon stats and his performance in 2017, I made the argument today on the show, he was arguably the greatest leadoff hitter in 2017 in the history of baseball.
Really?
Year. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you compare his stats as a leadoff hitter that year to any stats across baseball, again, just for a leadoff hitter, it was up there, top 5 best leadoff hitter seasons in all of baseball history, and they made it to a postseason that year.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think they had enough pieces around them that year to have gone deeper into the playoffs, although they still had some pretty good pieces to make it to the playoffs. I do think, Charlie had that was his Jamal Murray year. Like, that was his, I'm going to almost single-handedly bring my team to the playoffs, and just rely on some of those core guys around me to help kind of get me there. But that was a standout year.
Some other people getting mentioned in the Toyota chat: Ed McCaffrey, kind of the Rod Smith. Well, he played with Rod Smith, played across from Rod Smith.
Another Colorado guy too.
Yeah, definitely. Fat Lever, who obviously has the longevity, one of the greatest Nuggets of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's some good ones.
Who on the Rockies right now do you think could be the next Charlie Blackmon? Do you think anybody has a case?
I do, but there a lot needs to be proved for any of these guys. Currently, Rymack is probably the guy that's going to fill those shoes immediately.
Yeah, in the immediate
vicinity. But I think there is a strong possibility that Brenton Doyle. There's a lot of similarities between a young Brenton Doyle and a young Charlie Blackmon. Both of them play in the outfield. Both of them are very serious, hardworking, very motivated and dedicated players who have also loosened up a little bit in the recent years. I mean, Charlie, I was talking to Rymack yesterday in the clubhouse, and he was like, made the joke to me that, like, I didn't talk to Charlie Blackmon the first 2 years that, Blackmon was with us, because Blackmon was a very serious, like, I'm not messing around, like, we're just playing ball.
Yeah.
And over the years, he loosened up and became a little more relaxed and kind of took the game a little, not less seriously, but a little more as a fun game that it is. Brenton Doyle, even just within his first 2 years in the Rockies organization, has loosened up a little bit more. He does, he's doing energized interviews with MLB Network. Like, he is becoming more of that guy, and we've seen his bat and his glove quickly make him one of the best center fielders in all of baseball. Mm-hmm. He's jumped onto the scene nationally. I think if he continues to play this way, will be a no doubt all-star pick next year for the Rockies. Like, I think Brenton Doyle could be that next Charlie Blackmon if he continues the way that he's going.
What's his walk-up song?
Not there yet. Not there yet. I actually have no idea. And the fact that I have no idea,
the fact that you don't know is a red flag.
It is a red flag.
Yeah.
But also, Charlie Blackmon set that bar high from his days playing at Georgia Tech. Like, he had that walk-up song in college.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
I didn't know that.
He's had this walk-up song. He's had Your Love, the walk-up song, since he was in college.
Interesting.
A clean-shaven, clean face like Charlie Blackmon walking out to Your Love. He also mentioned the whole beard thing, which I wanted to circle around to.
Yeah.
He was asked if he's going to shave the beard after he retires. And he made an interesting point, kind of saying that, like, he doesn't plan on doing it, but he thinks eventually he will. His wife has never seen him without a beard. I don't know if you can ever shave. If your
and she's
wife
probably been trying to get him to shave it for.
I don't know if she has. Like, if she met him and married him with that beard, like, she obviously loves him for the beard. Does she want to see? Does she want to see the babyface Blackmon? I don't know.
My worry is the kids. Have you ever seen those videos of, like, dads that'll
they
like
don't recognize them?
Yeah.
And the kids get scared. And
My
they,
dad
cry.
My dad didn't have a Charlie Blackmon beard, but he had a goatee, similar to what I have, just like full face goatee, kind of a Todd Helton-ish goatee. And he had that from the minute I was born all the way until college. And all of a sudden I came home one summer and he had a clean-shaven face, and it was the same thing where I was just like, wait a minute, that's God. You're not my dad. Like, what are you doing?
Right,
who are you, you imposter?
Yeah.
Let's hit another break. I want to talk about this more on the other side, because I have some questions about Charlie Blackmon's beard too. Guys, we have a lot of events going on here at DNVR now that we're ramping up into our busiest season. Broncos going on, Nuggets, Avs, Rockies still playing as well. Broncos tailgate season is here. At DNVR, we have the best tailgate in the city. I can say that with confidence. We're at the back lot of Sports Fan at 18th and Federal before every Broncos home game. You can even start the party early if you want and start tailgating at the DNVR bar and then take a bus actually over to the game. But at the corner of 18th and Federal at Sports Fan, at our Broncos tailgate, we have Primo Hoagies, Breck Brew, Breck Distillery, beer pong, yard games. We have the best view of any tailgate as well. Music. You can get season passes to all our Broncos tailgates as well. TheDNVR.com/events. That's where you want to go. We've got Buffs tailgates as well. You can join the DNVR Nuggets crew at the Basketball Social House for a 3-on-3 tournament October 5th. I think we're maxed out on signups for teams, but come hang out. It's going to be a fun night. Hang with us at the Basketball Social House. That's on October 5th. So if you want more info, thednvr.com/events. That's where you've got to go for that. Also, shout out to Toyota. Of course, we're in the Toyota Lounge. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. I like to say it's the unofficial vehicle of Colorado as well. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, they've built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. If you need, a smaller car, an SUV, a truck, Toyota, they've got everything you could need. They have 17 models available all-wheel drive as well, like the Epic 4Runner. They also offer more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker. 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson, Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson, Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, it's a proud partner, I think, of most of the teams in Colorado. It's the official vehicle of DNVR. And we're back here on TDSP live from the Toyota Lounge. Harrison Wind and Christian Saez. So the beard, I have a prediction that he shaves it the first day of the offseason.
Really?
Yeah.
That soon?
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll do it that soon. Seems like something that I think he'll wait on for a little bit. But I do think he does shave it within the first year.
I mean, our baseball players so routine oriented that was part of it.
It has to be. He's had that literally since like his third year on the Rockies.
I know. Like, how can you maintain a beard like that for that long? And playing baseball.
Yes.
That's got to be the toughest sport to play with a beard.
And having it like your entire again, consistency. Having it your entire career.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like there would be a point for me where I eventually would be like, you know what? Let's mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna just shave off the beard this offseason or trim it down. No, like he had that beard the entire time. An icon. It's an iconic beard, and it fits with the Colorado vibe as well. Yeah. Like it just works.
If you think about playing outside, sweating.
Oh yeah.
And playing 100+ games, like every single day pretty much.
Although I will say,
how do you maintain that?
There is I don't think there's a single sport out there, professional sport, where having a Charlie Blackmon, James Harden-esque beard is ever comfortable. Like basketball would feel the same to me. You're drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
You know, like that's gross. Football, even worse, you're wearing a helmet. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, football actually might be worse.
Is there anyone who has a beard like that in football? I don't think I've ever seen.
There's got to be some O-linemen out there with beards.
Which is, but like that big of a beard?
They're the only ones gutsy enough to pull it off.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I even think it's crazy when guys have the long hair because I'm like, you know, you can get tackled by your hair. And I'm like, I would not want to get brought down.
That wouldn't be good.
By my hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, so I think any professional sport, having that kind of beard is insane. I actually think baseball, out of all of the sports, it makes more sense just given how kind of, I don't know, more country and like outdoorsy baseball is. Very, like I said, very Coloradan of him to have a mountain man beard like that.
It fits with his vibe
like
too.
It does.
Colorado, mountains, fishing.
Yeah, have you seen
outdoors.
pictures of him like without the beard?
I have. There was one in your
different.
article. Could you try to pull one up, Tiff? I want to.
Charlie Blackmon without a beard.
I want to react to it live.
React to it live.
Because it's a little jarring.
Do you think his wife like looks up pictures of him without the beard to mentally prepare herself? Or also like what might be it someday, you know, like this.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. He's also like I don't know if he's better looking without the beard. I actually think he's better looking with the beard, and it's not a knock on him, but like the beard just works for him.
It does work.
But also, though, when you're not wearing a hat, it's a little bit different. Like when you're not wearing a hat.
A beard does look great with a baseball hat.
With a baseball hat, yeah. So like if he was going to a wedding.
Yeah.
Like different situation.
Yeah. Very different situation.
Yeah. Like
that's I'm sure why he's grown the hair out in the past.
Yeah.
Because the longer hair complements it.
That's what I mean. Like he actually kind of looks like Ryan McMahon. In those first ones.
Well, in the early Charlie Blackmon days, he literally looks like any other baseball player.
Yeah, literally any
he looks
baseball
like
player.
90% of baseball
if
players.
I shaved my face and put on a Rockies,
that's what you would look.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah. 100%. No, like I said, he looks like Ryan McMahon. Yeah. It's definitely my favorite. It's jarring. It's jarring to see him that different. Again, if I'm his wife, like. I don't know if I'd want to see him without the beard. Like you married him with that nest of hair strapped across his chin. It is a nest of hair.
Yeah.
You could put some birds in that. I mean, it is a nest of hair, and it'd just be so weird.
So here's another question: the walk-up song. Obviously, it's part of Charlie Blackmon. It adds something. It adds a lot to a Rockies game. Everybody knows it. Everybody sings it. You said he started it in college,
Georgia Tech,
which I did not even know. Do you think that elevates Charlie Blackmon in terms of how Rockies fans view him?
Absolutely.
It's got to, right?
I mean, my most engaged with tweet over this entire week has been a clip of the music video where that is like they're playing the chorus, and that's it. And it's got like 1,300 likes in just like within a day. Like,
however he landed on that song, That's actually a great question.
It's called the outfield.
Do you know how he landed on that?
No.
You should ask him that.
I think Patrick Saunders is doing an article on it because he was asking him a bunch of questions about it in the press conference. But
him choosing that song is maybe the best decision of his career.
Probably. And I mean, I said it in my article, like, it gives the Rockies fans a moment of karaoke every single game.
Yeah.
Like you not only get to watch a baseball game, it's one of the things. Coors Field always gets love for being a stadium where it's, like, fans show up whether you win or lose. It's sold out almost every game. They're top 5 in MLB in attendance. And I would argue that's a big piece of it because you create this experience for fans where, like, little kids, like, there's this video of, like, this little kid who's seeing Charlie Blackmon, like, popping up onto the screen for the first time and just screaming "Tonight," having probably no idea what that actually means. Like,
no,
what's
he doesn't need to know.
Doesn't need to know. He's just screaming that, and it's the same thing with all the small things with the Avs. When the Avs, went to the Stanley Cup, we had the entire bar screaming all the small things. After that, one of the greatest sports memories of my time in Denver.
When you do have a song affiliated with a player or team, that's a nice little bonus to have as a fan.
Sweet Caroline in, what is that, Boston?
The Nuggets do not have one.
No. You guys do have one of the best PA announcers in the business that gets the crowd really involved in what is it, Speller?
Kyle Speller.
Yep.
The legend.
The legend. I mean, he makes up for that by being very engaging. Which is great for basketball. But I agree. Like, I think every single team should strive to have a theme song. I mean, the Giants had, San Francisco Giants had "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." Again, a classic. There's a handful of teams out there that have that. We should look that up at some point because I'm sure there's some article out there that has all the famous songs, whether it be walk-up songs, whether it be, just team songs. Charlie Blackmon's has to be up there at one of the top 10 on that list. And I had a question that was asked to me on Twitter of how do the Rockies continue that? Does Charlie Blackmon give that walk-up song to another younger player?
Interesting.
Does the team actually make that their song? Like all the small things for the Avs? Like, do they play that after the games for the wins with Charlie's permission? Like, how do they handle that? Like, I don't think they do anything like that.
Probably not.
But that it's a great
question. Podcast question.
It is,
because the song, it almost feels synonymous with, like, the start of summer in Denver.
Yeah,
that's actually how I used to talk about it with my buddies in high school. It's like when you heard that song, it's like, okay, it's summertime.
Yep,
it's the summer. Let's go to a Rockies game. Like, that's what it signaled to me. But yeah. No, I totally wonder
agree.
if they do anything with it.
Also, I want to circle back here in the Toyota chat. Casey Cheatham, I believe, says Cooper Kupp has a pretty wild beard. Great point. Also, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
I do remember the beard sticking out of the
Fitzpatrick for sure.
I was trying to find, like, a list of the best beards, and there was, like, Ezekiel Elliott was in there.
Cooper Kupp, actually, it's funny. Cooper Kupp, I covered Cooper Kupp when I was in Eastern Washington because he was an Eastern Washington University grad, played in the Big Sky Conference with UNC, Northern Colorado. And so I was covering Kupp when he was at Eastern Washington, and he didn't have nearly as big of a beard back then. He was a Charlie Blackmon kind of baby face, and then got to the NFL with the Rams, and then grew out the beard, and it's hasn't looked back ever since.
Yeah. So I have to correct myself about something I just said. The Nuggets do, I think, have a couple theme songs.
Okay.
So the one they play after a win, I think it's just called "It's a Good Day." You would know it if we played it. It does feel a little synonymous with the Nuggets after wins.
Sure.
But it's played at the arena. It's not, like, tied to a certain player. I think they've been playing it for the last several years, so it's something that they're going with. And there's also "Go with the Nuggets," which is a song from 1976.
Okay.
That's if you ever heard, like, the 76ers theme song, it kind of feels like that. I actually think we should bring that one back. But the Nuggets do have a couple that they have and could go to.
I just think, music gets people engaged. I think of when you hear even just like the NBA on TNT theme song,
Right.
or like, so like ESPN's old theme song, or the NFL Sunday Night Football. Mm-hmm. Like all of these are little jingles or songs that make you feel something when they're played. Charlie Blackmon, his song, Your Love, his walk-up song, makes Rockies fans feel a certain type of way every time he stepped onto the field, every time he stepped out there onto the diamond to get into the batter's box. And that, I think it's actually, I don't know, that's where I say it's like the end of an era. I think the Rockies don't do anything with it. Let that live synonymously with Charlie Blackmon and move forward. Just like the Avs let go of all the small things, after they won the Stanley Cup, that will always be associated with the Stanley Cup run for the Avs.
I agree.
Don't use it too much. Just enjoy that while it lasts.
I agree. Last thing I wanted to hit on this show, we're talking Colorado seasons. It's turning from summer to fall. You brought this up as something we should hit on. It's leaf peeping season in Colorado.
The worst name ever for something, by the way.
I know. It's bad.
It's like a terrible name for that.
It's the time of year where everybody goes up to the mountains just to see the leaves changing. It's a cult.
It is.
I'm probably going to go, though. I'm part of the cult.
Yep. Aren't we all?
Do you think it's worth it?
That's a great question. It can be. Can we take a step back here for a moment and let's articulate what it is that we're doing. An entire city, state, let's say, worth of people takes time out of their day. Usually it's an entire day to get in the car, drive usually over an hour.
Yeah.
Get out of the car in crowds of people and dogs. Walk up a trail. And sit there and stare at leaves on trees, and then go home. And that's your day.
That's correct.
That is what we're doing here, and that's what we're talking about.
That is correct.
With that being said, it is 1,000% worth it.
Okay. I didn't know what direction you were going with that.
It is something that you can't say that you live in Colorado if you are not a leaf peeper.
Can you bring up some of these pictures, Tiff, so people know what we're talking about?
It's the weirdest thing, though, but it's so incredible. I was in Gunnison up at Crested Butte this last weekend. These are some pictures I took.
Oh, so you went leaf peeping last weekend?
I did, and because I was
fresh
up at
off
10,000,
a leaf peeping session,
fresh off the leaf peeping, trip, and it was a little early, but you can see in the pictures there were leaves to peep.
You're also a really good photographer.
Yeah, not too freaking shabby there.
Thank you. I give credit to my surroundings. We did drive about 5 hours to get to this.
Yeah.
So the cult is real. There were other things that we were doing. It was homecoming week for my alma mater. Was broadcasting a game out there. We had the dogs with us, so the dogs got to go, be wild animals for a few days. But the leaves are incredible. And so I just think, it's worth it. You just have to buckle up, man. Like, we were driving back through Fairplay. I don't know what that pass is. There's usually some moose, some mises out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that pass is called, but they're like right before you get to Fairplay, there's this like pull off, and there were like thousands of people on Monday when we were in the middle of a Monday.
Yeah. Does anybody work in this state anymore?
Who knows? I was also not working that day either. So I'm with them on that. We didn't stop there to look at leaves, but we did drive through it on our way home.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible, the amount of people. I know Mitchell went leaf peeping. We went leaf peeping. I think, Mitch, you went? Yep, he went leaf peeping.
Where'd you go leaf peeping at? Rocky Mountain National Park.
It's a good place to go.
That's a popular one.
That is a popular one. If you put in the effort of like I said, driving 4.5 hours out to Crested Butte, you will bypass a lot of the crowds. We were able to get into the forest by ourselves. But if you're only going like an hour out, just be prepared. It is going to be chaos.
So something I've seen for leaf peeping that I've never done is a train ride. Have you seen this?
What is that, in the gorge? Or
there are a bunch of different ones. I mean,
Canyon
up in the
City,
mountains, but
one.
you pretty much take a train and you're weaving in and out of the mountains and you're leaf peeping. I've never done it. I've heard about it. I might try it this year.
That sounds like a great time. I will always jump on board, literally, a train trip, especially when there are yellow leaves involved. I'm from Washington, so like we got obviously we had falls, we have seasons in Washington, but it's all like really I almost think of it like Eastern type of leaf changes where it's like dark reds and oranges. Pretty. But like until I stepped foot in Colorado back in 2015, my first fall in Colorado, I had never seen like the yellow leaves changing like that.
You don't get that shocked. In Washington?
Not that. We don't have aspens like that in Washington. We've got, like maples and, those. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful time in Washington. Washington is gorgeous in fall.
Yeah.
But it's a very muted. It's very muted. And that's actually a good picture to like kind of describe it, where like there's a lot more evergreens kind of mixed throughout. And it's rainy. So like it's very, like I said, it's very like fall in Maine type of vibes. But in Colorado, like it's so bright. Like you walk out there and it's just blindingly yellow.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I felt like I was in like a Lord of the Rings type of environment.
It's kind of what it looks like, for sure.
Yeah, like very fantasy, kind of otherworldly types of environments. I had never seen anything like it when I moved here. And so we do make it a habit to get out there. The only issue is that like there's like 5 days of peak leaf peeping.
You got to find the perfect window.
And if you happen to like work and have like a life,
if you work on Mondays, it's tough.
Yeah, like you're out of luck, man. You're just trying. You're getting either a little bit early or you're getting a little bit late. But like it's so hard to time it up.
I love that it's like a normal thing that like our meteorologists like are like, hey guys, like this weekend should be great, or or like, hey, it's been a little
people
sunny
know.
Still, so we're gonna push it out. We're gonna push it out.
It is the Super Bowl of meteorology. Like it is the biggest time of the year. My buddy Greg, who's a meteorologist with Fox 31, like he was like, I was texting him as we were going out there, like, okay, like, am I going to be getting this, at these places?
So you got the sources.
I got the inside scoop,
he
for
has
sure.
The sources
and he did
on
say
leaf
I was
peeping.
a little bit early. He said, we're going to get some late, I don't know, pressure changes that are going to be causing the leaves to turn.
Good to know.
Right now is peak season. If you are getting out at any point this week, weekend, or next week into the mountains, that is the place to be. Everything's going to be yellow. Probably in 2 weeks, it's going to be gone.
And I want you to add us on Twitter if you go leaf peeping.
Yes, Harrison and I, big leaf peepers.
Yeah.
Please give us suggestions on how we can change that name. I would like to petition to never say leaf peeping again, because it's just such a terrible name.
It's just saying the two words leaf peeping. It's weird.
It is weird. And also, like, it feels uncomfortable. Like, I feel uncomfortable saying
You feel
leaf
kind of
peeping.
gross saying
I feel kind of gross saying it. Feels also kind of Easterish to me, because of the word peeps. And,
true.
And so, like, it just feels like I'm talking about something Easter related, but it's the middle of September. Like, it's just not, I don't know. Like, what would be a better name for leaf peeping?
It's not watching.
I mean, viewing. We could just go. Yeah, we could just go through.
We could go leaf viewing.
Someone needs to get in the chat and give us some suggestions on changing the name for leaf peeping.
It's something that needs to be done.
It's not something we're smart enough to figure out on our own. You guys need to help us.
All right. Well, Christian, that was fun. Thanks for hanging out with me on another TDSP. Thanks to everybody hanging out in the Toyota chat. Thanks to Tiff for producing. Cool. That's all we got for today. Fun show. Thanks for hanging out. Leave us a quick like before we get out of here. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. Talk to you guys then.
We all silly like the mayor.